Hello, white people and fellow Gentiles. I am on a website called mechon-mamre.org. The Torah maintains that the righteous Gentiles of all nations, those observing the 7 laws of Noah listed below, have a place in the world to come. I do not know what the world to come is. That's interesting. It's their utopia that they're trying to build. But not all religious Gentiles earn eternal life by virtue of observing their religion. So let's scroll down here to the 7 laws of Noah. According to Torah tradition, God gave Noah and his family 7 commandments to observe when he saved them from the flood. These commandments, referred to as the Noahic or Noahide commandments, are learned by tradition, but also suggested in Genesis chapter 9 and are as follows. So the Noahic or Noahide commandments are suggested in chapter 9. In Genesis chapter 9. So you should know this. If you've read the Bible, you should know this because it's been suggested. Number 1, do not commit idolatry. Number 2, do not commit blasphemy. Number 3, do not commit murder. Number 4, do not have forbidden sexual relations. Okay, I want to see a list of forbidden. Number 5, do not commit theft. I want to see what the definition of theft is. According to, I forgot to mention too, there's a certain group of people that you cannot talk about on social media. And I think they make up about 2% of the population. If you don't know what I'm talking about, they wear little hats and they have hook noses. So we're going to call them the 2%ers. So I want to know what the 2%ers' definition of theft is. Number 6, do not eat flesh cut from a living animal. That's disgusting. Who's cutting up living animals? I've seen somebody fillet a fish while it was still alive and wiggle it around and throw it back in the water. Most of its body missing. That's disgusting. Stop doing that. Number 7, here we go. To establish courts of justice to punish violators of the other 6 laws. So these people have determined themselves so virtuous, and they have to follow the Noahide laws, or so that's their excuse, to establish courts of justice to punish violators of the other 6 laws. And that's why in the United States we have the Supreme Court. That's why we have such a, we have, the judicial, not the judicial, just a second here. It's like the industrial complex. There's a lot of industrial complexes. Got the medical industrial complex, and that's why we're all criminals. We're all just felons waiting to spend our time in the little box. Because these people are virtuous and they're going to determine that we've broken the Noahide laws and they're going to punish us. And if you're wondering if the Noahide laws are coming, nah, they're already here. They've been here for a while. So if you can trace back to when we first started having courts of justice, that's where it started. We started having Noahide laws. These commandments may seem fairly simple and straightforward, and most of them are recognized by most of the world as sound moral principles. Yeah, because we've been brainwashed into it. But according to the Torah, only those Gentiles who observe these laws because God commanded them in his Torah will enjoy life in the world to come. What is the world to come? So if you follow these rules, observe these laws, because God commanded you to do so in the Torah, you're going to enjoy life in the world to come. But if you observe them just because they seem reasonable, or because you think that God commanded you to in some way, and I'm talking to fellow Gentiles here, then in the Torah, you may as well not obey them at all, because you don't have any place in the world to come. The Noahic commandments are binding on all people, because all people are descended from Noah and his family. Are we? It says so in the Bible, but the Bible's been altered. And the Bible in some places has some dead ends if you have questions, such as the story about the legion of demons going into the pigs and then the pigs going off the side of the cliff. Even though it doesn't say specifically why the pigs were there, if they were wild boar, if they were wild boar, if they were somebody was hurting them. I mean, have you ever dealt with pigs before? And why would they all of a sudden just run off a cliff and kill themselves? That doesn't make any sense. The 613 mitzvot of the Torah, on the other hand, are only binding on the descendants of those who accepted the commandments at Sinai and upon those who take on the yoke of the commandments voluntarily, meaning idiots who convert. Some say that the Noahic commandments are applied more leniently to non-2%ers. Remember, 2% refers to that tribe. Then the corresponding commandments are to 2%ers because non-2%ers do not have the benefits of oral tradition or oral Torah to guide them in interpreting the laws. Oh, that's sad. Some European rabbis, presumably because of fear, it's a wild assumption here, because of fear of reprisal from their Christian neighbors, famous for their violence to 2%ers. Famous for their alleged or made up pretend violence, have gone so far as to say that worshiping God in the form of a man constitutes idolatry for a Jew, punishable by death. But the Trinitarian Christian worship of Jesus, did I just say Jew? Damn it. But the Trinitarian Christian worship of Jesus does not constitute idolatry. In truth, any idolatry for which a 2%er is punishable by death is also punishable by death for non-2%ers, including the worship of a man as a god. So they have it out for us because, we're idolaters. If you're a Christian, you're an idolater. You've committed idolatry. You idol worshippers. We plan to provide on this site a full exposition of 7 laws, including many details that could not be guessed from the listing above. So many questions here. Do you think the Noah story is true? Do you think the flood story is true? Are we idol worshippers? And there's no way, unless we believe the commandments come from the Torah, even though we don't have the benefit of the oral Torah, we're screwed. All right, white people, that's the damage for now. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to your thoughts below.